My name is Jakob Rehof. I'm a professor of computer science at the TU Dortmund University. I'm also a director of the Lamarr Institute for Machine Learning and Artificial Intelligence, which is in Dortmund and in Bonn. I have a role as a research strategy director at the Fraunhofer Institute, the Institute for Software and Systems Engineering. In my intervention here today, I have been talking about the opportunities for using generative AI technology for helping solve a fundamental problem in data sharing ecosystems, which is the problem of data interoperability. That is, ensuring that data can be uniformly interpreted and understood, even though the same information is typically given in many different representations. And so this requires, for example, being able to map data sets into something called ontologies or schemata, which you can think of as abstract logical models that make explicit the information content in the data. Or it might mean mapping between different such models. And so this whole area of creating this kind of mappings between data models or between data and models is something where I think there's a great prospect for modern generative AI to play a role to help solve some of these problems in a new way. And so why do I think that? I think that because it has turned out that at least since the advent of the so-called transformer model in 2017, so-called large language models, that's a particular kind of machine learning model that have been incredibly successful in automatically producing high quality natural language, that those models could also be used to automatically produce code. And what does that have to do with the mapping problem that I talked about before? Well, the connection is that those mappings could be implemented by computer code, which in turn could be automatically generated by this kind of generative AI technology. In fact, a number of the big tech companies, in particular in the United States, have already seen the opportunity to exploit large language models for software creation. And I think they have already shown by now that there's a tremendous potential there that will revolutionize in many ways software construction and software engineering. And what I am doing here in this intervention is to make a plaidoyer for trying to use and develop that kind of technology for what we could call vertical AI. And vertical AI means machine learning models in particular that are fine-tuned to vertical sectors, that is, particular domains or particular industrial sectors. For example, aerospace, and I've been also mentioning an exciting collaboration that we're undertaking with Airbus in this domain to try to use some of the data that pertain to Airbus's supply chain to see if we could fine-tune large language models and other kinds of AI instruments to help automate this kind of problem to ensure data interoperability at lower cost and higher levels of automation. Now, if you can do that, then you can think of augmenting the idea, which you can find in the Draghi report, for example, of using data spaces for AI. You could now think of using AI to enable data spaces. So you use data spaces for AI because data spaces produce vertical, domain-specific, sector-specific, industry-specific data sets that can be shared among different parties in those industries. And so that produces and procures high-quality data, which can be used to train AI models. But if we could realize the program that I've been talking about, then you could use those AI models in turn to help solve problems that have to do with data sharing to enable better and more automated data sharing. And now you get what I call a virtuous circle of vertical AI, where this plays a key role. So you got data spaces and data ecosystems for AI, but now you also got AI to enable data spaces and data ecosystems. And then you get a virtuous feedback loop. And if we can get that loop rolling, then we have the chance to do something from a European perspective, which would be very important. It's a great European opportunity because we're really leading in these efforts to create data ecosystems and data sharing, mind you, also based on European values, which in the context of AI is not the least important problem that we want to solve, namely creating trustworthy AI systems that are in alignment with European values and European regulation.